Hi, this lesson is lesson 25 and it's listing the factors of whole numbers. Doing this work is going to be really important as we move forward in our work with fractions. Understanding factors and how those play into fractions and combining fractions and things like that, it's really going to be a foundational part of your mathematical understanding as you move forward. So this is really, really important work. Just one objective for today, it's just to list the factors of a whole number. So really right now, we're just looking at one number at a time. What are the factors of that one number? So just a little bit of vocabulary here. Factors, a whole number that divides another whole number without a remainder. So really another way to think about this is what are all of those smaller numbers that can be multiplied to make the whole number we're looking at? So for example, if we're talking about the number 6, what numbers can be multiplied together to make the number 6? And really when I demonstrate this in the classroom, I show it like a rainbow and we write them out almost like a rainbow, like completely spaced apart in pairs. So whenever I start by doing this, I start here, I say, well, let's talk about the number 6. What can be multiplied to make 6? And we start with our lowest counting number, which is always 1. And so we have 1 and 6. So 1 and itself will always be factors of any number. That's actually leads us into the definition of what a prime number is, but that's for another day. So 1 and 6, we write those almost, spread apart like that. Those are two factors. Okay, once we do 1, we're going to move on to the next counting number and we stop at 2. Okay, can 2 go into 6? Yeah, it can. So we write down 2. 2 times 3 is 6. So we write down 3. And then I would actually keep going. Let's talk about 3. We're moving on to the next counting number. Can 3 go into 6? Yes, it can. But we've already written it up here, so we're done. We're not going to write anymore. When we get to a point where a number has already been listed as a factor for the number we're talking about, we're all done. So these, in fact, are the factors of 6. 1, 2, 3, and 6 are all factors of 6. Let's try this example. Being that we just walked through one together, I'd like you to pause this video and see if you can list out the factors of 20. All right, so I wanted to actually do this work on the video, not all of it just while the video was paused. I want to walk through kind of what it looks like if you've never seen me do this before in the classroom, really what it looks like when I am finding the factors of a number. So again, I start with my number 20. I'm going to start with my lowest counting number, which is 1. 1 can always go into any number, 1 and itself. So 1 and 20. I'm going to write that all the way over here. 1 and 20, hoping that I leave enough room. 1 and 20 are factors of 20. I'm going to add my commas. I'm going to go on to my next counting number, 2. 2 is 2 a factor of 20? Can 2 go into 20 evenly? Yeah, it can. So I'm going to write 2, and 2 times 10 is 20. Again, adding my commas, and then I move on to my next counting number right here in the line, and that would be 3. So I stop and think, can 3 go into 20 without a remainder? And the answer is no. No, 20 is not divisible by 3. So then I skip it and move on to my next counting number, which would be 4. Can 4 go into 20 without a remainder? And the answer is yes. So I'm going to write down 4. And 4 times what? Well, 4 times 5 is 20. So I'm going to write my 5 there, add my commas. I'm going to move on to my next counting number, which is after 4, which would be 5. Can 5 go into 20? Well, yes, of course it can, but we've already written it up there, so we never write it twice. It just means we are done. So even though this isn't super pretty, it's spaced out, doesn't matter. These are my factors. The factors of 20 are 1, 2, 4, 5, 10, and 20. Pause the video and try this one on your own. All right, so you can see my work here. The factors of 23 are only 1 and itself, 1 and 23. And I mentioned this earlier, but this, by definition, is a prime number. 23 is a prime number. It has exactly 2 factors, 1 and itself. So 23 is a prime number. These are the 2 factors of 23. Let's take a look at this example 3. Which of these numbers is not a factor of 30? Again, please pause this video and give this a try. There are a couple of ways that you can go about solving this problem. If you can solve this in your head, I would just suggest kind of going through each letter or each number option and deciding if it is a factor of 30 or if 30 is divisible by these numbers. Also, if it makes more sense in your brain to actually just write out the number 30, write out all of the factors, and then determine which one does not fall in that line, you could solve it that way too. I'm just going to go ahead and think about each number individually. So can 2 go into 30 without a remainder? Yes, 2 times 15 can. Can 3 go into 30 without a remainder? Yes, 3 times 10 can make 30. Can 4 go into 30 without a remainder? I don't think so. Yeah, okay, so the closest I can get with 4 times 7 is 28, and 4 times 8 is 32. So it's this one right here. Just to double check though, I'm just going to take a look at D. Is 5 a factor of 30? So can 5 be multiplied to make 30, or is 30 divisible by 5 is a way to think about it? Yes, 5 times 6 is 30. So which one is not a factor? 4. This is my last example I'd like to show you and like you to try. Which factors of 9 are also factors of 18? So really, without telling you we're doing this is practicing finding common factors. And it leads us into our work in 6th grade of finding the greatest common factor to reduce fractions and add and subtract fractions and stuff you'll do later on in the year. But pause this video and please find which factors of 9 are also factors of 18. All right, so I've found the factors of each of these numbers. The factors of 9 are just 1, 3, and 9. And then the factors of 18, 1, 2, 3, 6, 9, and 18. I often say that finding factors of numbers it's not particularly hard, it's just kind of tedious. There's not a shortcut. In math, oftentimes we're trying to find shortcuts or short methods on solving things. With finding factors, it's just, this is how you do it. Sometimes it takes time. And really the next step beyond doing this is just doing the work in your head. So if it takes you time to write out all these factors, it just is what it is. There's not really a shortcut on how to do it. So I have all of my factors written out here, and now they haven't asked me to identify the greatest of them or anything. They're just asking which ones are common, which ones do they have in common. So I'm going to go through and circle. They both have a 1, they have 3 in common, and they have 9 in common. So on your homework, if you were ever asked this, please don't just leave your answer like this. I would ask you to write 1, 3, and 9. That's it for your practice for today. The next slide here